In this lesson, we're going to talk about oxidize and reducing agents. An agent is that causes something else to happen. When we look at an oxidizing agent, what we see is that it causes the oxidation to occur, therefore it is reduced. Likewise, with a reducing agent, it causes reduction to occur, therefore itself is the oxidized species. Let's look at an example. Chlorine plus sodium bromide yields sodium chloride plus bromine. As with any redox reaction, the first thing we always need to do is to identify the oxidation numbers for each element in the reaction. Chlorine is a free element, so it has an oxidation number of 0. NaBr is an ionic compound, so it will equal the charges, which are +1 and -1 for sodium and Br respectively. NaCl has oxidation numbers of +1 and -1, because those are the ionic charges of those elements in an ionic compound. And then Br2 is a free element and has an oxidation number of 0. Now we need to look at what's changing in this reaction. Bromine is going from a -1 to a 0 oxidation number. Therefore, it is undergoing oxidation. It is losing electrons, and the oxidation number increases. When I look at chlorine, it goes from 0 to -1. It is gaining electrons, and so it's undergoing reduction, and we see that the oxidation number decreases. Now that we've identified what species is being oxidized and what's being reduced, we can identify the oxidizing and reducing agents. Chlorine is undergoing reduction, therefore it is the oxidizing agent. It is causing another species to be oxidized by itself being reduced. The oxidizing agent is always the species that is reduced, and it causes something else to be oxidized. Br is being oxidized because we see an increase in the oxidation number. Therefore, it is the reducing agent. It's the species that is oxidized is the reducing agent because it causes something else to be reduced by itself being oxidized. What species is the oxidizing agent? When we look at the oxidation numbers and we look for the oxidizing agent, we need the species that is being reduced. Copper goes from a +2 to a 0 oxidation number. It's being reduced, therefore it is the oxidizing agent. What species is the reducing agent? The reducing agent is the species that is oxidized, and in this reaction that would be magnesium. It goes from a 0 to a +2 oxidation number. So magnesium is our correct answer. Note that the agents are always reactants. We'll never see a product being an oxidizing agent because at that point the reaction has already occurred. The agent is causing something to happen, so it must be a reactant. When we look at our reaction, we see that copper is being reduced, it gains electrons, and is an oxidizing agent. Magnesium is being oxidized because it's losing electrons and acts as a reducing agent.